Alright folks, about to take my dad's 2019 R1250GS. He's going to let me ride it down to Chico. About to fire it up. Let's go ahead and do that. It's pretty close to stock. He's got this Russell day-long seat, which are like the best seats ever. All-day comfort. And he's got a taller V-Stream aftermarket windshield. Damn, this thing's dirty. Well, I don't have to feel bad about getting bugs and shit on it. Other than that, I think it's pretty well bone stock. I don't think he's done anything else to it. Not that I'm aware of, anyway. So, without further ado, let's hop on and take her for a spin. This will be the best test ride I get, and will help me determine if I want to get a GS or not. Yeah, this seat is nice. So I am fairly familiar with this motor because it's the same motor I had in my R bike. I had the R1250R, just in a much different chassis. I've always liked the GS. They're an amazing motorcycle, and there's a reason they're so popular. My only real criticism of it, and it is kind of silly, is just that it's not a bike that really excites me. I'm going to go real slow past these horses. Try not to be a douchebag. But it is undeniable that these are excellent motorcycles. I can just about flat foot, very close. He does have the quick shifter, so that's nice. You really don't, this bike masks the speed so well. Did not feel like I was going 70. I also think that Speedo is a little optimistic. I think he normally uses the GPS. Oh yeah, it shows right there. So yeah, Speedo says 70. Oh, I mean, it's close. It's closer than I thought it would be. So yeah, this thing really hides its speed pretty well. Fix my glove. It's got cruise control, as you can see. And yeah, I do not feel like I'm going 72 miles an hour. There's no way I'm going... Gosh. That's crazy. I feel like I'm going about 55. So I had thought my legs were really bent on the 890. I guess it's almost the exact same bend I have on here. So my legs were no more bent on the 890 than they are on this GS. It's very comparable. Yeah, this bike is comfortable, that's for sure. You can barely even feel the bumps in the road. This bike is very, very smooth. Almost too smooth. That's one of my criticisms of the new 1250 Boxers, is they're so smooth, it's almost too much. I actually liked the feel. So my very first street bike, it wasn't mine, it was my dad's, but he let me ride it for a year or two when I lived down in Chico as my main mode of transportation for a good while. It was a 1976 BMW R1250GS, and that thing shaked, rattled, and rolled, and I loved it. I love that old Boxer engine character. And these new ones are an engineering marvel, but they've engineered them so well that I dare say they're almost kind of boring. Not boring in terms of performance. When you get on this thing, it'll rip. But it's just, they've engineered out some of that Boxer character, I guess is the best way I can say that. I definitely have to get a radar detector with this bike, because it's just so deceptive how fast you're going. Okay, I gotta get some gas here in Cottonwood. It's the town I grew up in. My first payroll job was at that grocery store right there. I did have jobs before that, but my first official job where they were taking tax out of my check was right there. I made $4.38 an hour. Okay, I'm gonna gas up, be back in a minute. Okay, we are gassed up and should be good to go. And first test is actually going to be the most interesting for me, which is getting on the freeway. So that's where I'm most curious how this bike handles relative to the other adventure bikes, which just seem to be so shitty. So this windshield is undoubtedly providing more wind protection. I guess I feel a little bit of wind on my shoulders, just a little bit. Definitely not as much as the middleweight bikes. I am wearing a helmet with a peak on it. The air is hitting right about where the peak is and going right over the top. This showy Hornet X2, despite having a peak, is incredibly aerodynamic. Until you turn your head. Even when you turn your head, it's not bad. So, oh yeah, it's not even pushing my head to the side when I do a head check. So I think I can get away with 80 indicated. So yeah, we'll go about 75. Use the cruise control. I mean, just cruising along here, it feels really good, I gotta say. If I duck down here a little bit, it's actually quiet. You can probably tell on the camera there's no wind noise right here. Up here I'm getting some again. That's just the wind going over the top of the helmet. I could actually probably do a little bit taller windshield if I wanted, because I'm looking well over the top. The camera is mounted on my chin, so it's considerably below my eye level for what you guys are seeing. Yeah, as far as adventure bikes, this is definitely the best on the freeway that I've ridden. Mirrors are good. Rock solid, no vibration whatsoever in the mirrors. It is nicer down here when I hunch down. It's just so nice and quiet. When I sit at my normal height, it's pretty noisy. Down here, nice and quiet, noisy. This thing actually almost has too much wind protection. Seems weird to say, but my legs are like completely shielded from any wind, and my arms are so shielded I'm barely getting any air. My legs are already sweating. I'm gonna go wide and air out my taint. For cold weather riding though, this would be great. Gotta say, I love the dash on the BMWs, these newer ones. The TFT is really good. Well, no surprise, this thing is really good on the freeway for an adventure bike. It is very, pretty stable and composed. More so than the other bikes I've ridden. Still not as stable or planted feeling as the Harley I rode. My previous feeling about the GS is still there, that I just feel like it's kind of boring. Yeah, it's a great motorcycle. Is it worth the money? I feel like I've already kind of decided, just going this far, that I'd be hard pressed to feel like this is going to be worth the money. It's not enough better on the freeway here over like the 890. It is better, but not so much so to justify the increased cost. I mean, that's a really valuable bit of information for me to gain. I doubt I would have been able to get enough time on the freeway on a test ride to be able to form that opinion. So I'm very fortunate that my dad was willing to let me take his bike and do a much longer ride. He undoubtedly just saved me thousands of dollars. Now, I know that will disappoint him, because I think he was hoping I would choose a GS. Then we'd be GS bros. People would either realize we're a father-son duo on a pair of GSs, or more likely they'd figure we're a couple queens with the bear and the boy. But yeah, I can already tell you I won't be buying the GS. It's a really good bike, so I don't want to shit on it or something. But out the door price on a new one is $26,000. Not to mention the BMW dealer is way down here in Chico. Oh, I forgot an aftermarket thing. My dad has bar risers on here. So yeah, this bike is good. I do feel like I'm just rolling along. The suspension's fantastic. He is ripping. Here we go, some dirty air. This thing's got a lot of power. It gets knocked around a little bit, but definitely less than the others. Unless, with these adventure bikes, maybe it just comes down to weight. See, I keep harping on this or talking about it, but it was the thing I was most interested in riding this bike was how it fared in this specific scenario versus the other bikes, because this is what annoys me the most on these adventure bikes, is this getting knocked around feeling. And this one is better than the others, but not enough better to justify the price. Here we go, behind a horse trailer. This will be some filthy air. Behind a horse trailer, behind a truck. Yeah, it's the best of the adventure bikes, hands down. Better than the 890, much better than the Tenere. So I'm just going to chalk that up to weight. This thing's heavier, so it tracks better. Still does the exact same shit though.